Welcome to the Tomorrow Zone Catalyst podcast. I'm your host, Deborah Rubin. Digital transformation and rising customer expectations are reshaping the world around us and what operational excellence means. At the heart of it, people, collaboration, and emotional intelligence. Today, we're exploring a practical way to connect purpose, performance, and customer experience. Our guest, Lilian Starr, is the Director of Operations at First Citizens Bank Equipment Finance. With over 25 years of experience across the airline and equipment finance industries, she is a transformation leader known for fusing customer-first systems thinking with team empowerment. What a magical combination, by the way. She's also the creator of the N.I.C.E framework: Notice, Interact, Care, Execute. It's a practical model for integrating emotional intelligence into everyday operations. Her work is reshaping how leaders navigate change, and we are thrilled to have her with us today. So, Lilian, welcome to the show.
Hi, Deb. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me on your show, and thank you for the amazing introduction. Very excited to be here and very excited to share our N.I.C.E model and how our experience has been and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Well, I invited you to the show after I saw you present about your N.I.C.E framework at the ELFA Innovation Lab in September. I love the concept. We're all about the human side of innovation here too. And so I'm excited to dive into that with you today. But before we do that, I was reading your bio and I noticed in your background that your career began in the global airline sector.
Yep.
I'm always curious to know, how did people end up in this industry? Because those are such interesting stories. So tell me your story. How did you end up in equipment finance?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm probably going to give out my little bit of my age here. So I'm originally from Brazil, and I started in the airline industry. My first job was actually working for a Brazilian airline. Gosh, this is back in 1996. And my first job was actually at the lost luggage department.
Oh, wow.
So I know. So think about, and at that time, right, English wasn't, obviously, I'm from Brazil. I speak Portuguese. My English wasn't my first language. So I found myself in a situation where, all right, you have a customer, a passenger in front of you, and obviously they're not happy because the airline lost their luggage. So now you not only have to navigate that situation and make sure that you're helping the customer, giving a positive customer experience, but you also need to do that on a language where you're still kind of learning. So I think I have to pretty quickly kind of figure that part out. But obviously learned a lot throughout the years. I had the opportunity to then work for American Airlines. I worked for American Airlines for about like 10 years. And then after that, that's when I had the opportunity to then move to the United States and had the opportunity to work for British Airways. Worked for British Airways for about 5 years, and I was working under the customer experience for the Latin America department. And, kind of fast forward, they wanted to send the Latin America department over to India. Part of it was sent it over to India, and the other part was sent over to Germany. I wasn't going to move to any of those places, so I was like, I'm staying here. So then I had the opportunity at that time to participate on a job fair where CIT was one of the attendants of that fair. And then, I was lucky enough to be given the opportunity to then join the equipment finance industry. So I started in customer service, started, managing the teams, and then was given the opportunity to have other roles and kind of move up into the leadership journey there. And I've been, as you all know, First Citizen acquired CIT. So I've been legacy CIT and been with the bank for 12 years, and it has been an amazing journey. So airline industry, equipment finance. But what I think interesting that it's about that, Deb, is that, when you think about customer experience and the journey and efficiency, operational, and all that kind of stuff, it's different industry, but I think, the challenges that you go through and the learning curve and all the things that you can do to improve user experience, customer experience, at the end of the day, are very similar. So I'm very glad to have had that journey as part of my background.
That's so cool too, because you really had to learn how to handle probably difficult situations, even where you started, and that's a That's actually a really great learning and growth experience.
100%. Yeah, I'm so grateful for that journey. I really am.
Thank you for sharing your story. It's always fun to hear how people end up in equipment finance. And one of the things they shared at the annual convention for ELFA last week is what they're doing to promote the industry to college students. So imagine, 10 years from now, what this industry is going to look like as people start to get into it on purpose.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
That's exciting. So I'm curious, you have this nice framework, and you shared a bit about it at the Innovation Lab in September. What inspired you to create the N.I.C.E framework, and how has it evolved through your transformation work?
Yeah. So thank you for that question, Deb. So I had the pleasure to share that at the ELFA Innovation Lab back in September. And, the NICE framework kind of was born from a navigating to a practical challenge, if you will, where as leaders, we are always thinking about what are the things that you need to do, give, support the teams, making sure that they have the tools so they can service our customers. When you have to make decisions, think about our digital automation journey, and you think about all your technology and how you can leverage technology the right way. And so there's a lot of questions, and at the same time, when you think about everything, it can be very overwhelming,
Oh
right? Like,
yeah.
make sure you're making the right decisions, and it can be very, very overwhelming as you navigate through all of that. So I wanted to, come up with a process where it was very simple, but at the same time, it will be a very powerful, practical framework to use as leaders are, making those decisions based on, whether it's team development, customer experience, technology, and all of that stuff. So the NICE actually started from thinking more in terms of how you're training your teams. Because when we talked about thinking about the future of work and how do you make sure that the teams are ready to navigate those changes, making sure that you're up to speed on the things that are important when you are thinking about delivering the right customer experience. So the NICE, as you stated, it's a simple framework where N stands for noticing, I stands for interacting by, active listening, not only listen to respond, but listen to understand. Care, be able to show empathy. And the last one is E for executing, right? Because again, you can be very good at everything else, but if at the end of the day, if you don't deliver on your promises, right, none of them has any meaningful, right? So thinking about, to me, noticing, interacting, caring, and executing are like the four pillars or the four elements of delivering a very meaningful customer experience. So try to keep it very simple, but at the same time, again, be able to deliver a model that was powerful to leaders to use. So we evolved from from developing a training into now helping us to really think through when you are navigating through your digital automation journey and making sure that you're making the decisions based on the right reasons. It's really, we've been using the NICE model by asking questions. Okay, whatever is it the problem that we're trying to solve, and the solution that we found, is it really helping us notice the needs, is helping us interact the right way, it's helping us to show empathy and care, it's helping us to execute. So the model has been, again, it's a simple model, but I think when you use it the right way, I think it can be very impactful and very helpful as leaders as you navigate through all of these changes and important decisions that you have to make.
Well, I think it's really a powerful thing, because you think about how often we go about reimagining customer experience and digital transformation, and often the focus is so much on the digital side of things. And you've kind of flipped the script a little bit to create a framework for making sure that your efforts align with the human side of things.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's just beautiful. So you mentioned the empathy, and this is something that you sometimes struggle with, just that emotional intelligence. And we tend to, sometimes lean too hard on the technology side of things when we're coming up with solutions or solving problems. So how do you see emotional intelligence playing a strategic role in operations and customer experience these days?
I think that's a very important question, Deb. And I think this question should be in every leader's mind as we navigate through, all this technology, digital journey transformation that, all of us, are going through to some level and degree.
Mm-hmm.
I'll share with you one data. So there's a company that's called, I believe, Zogby, and they had a partnership on a survey with Five9 where they interviewed leaders from multiple companies, all the way from contact centers to technology and some other industry. And in a nutshell, what came out of that research was that even though a lot of companies are making some kind of investment in through their, technology, digital automation journey,
Mm-hmm.
that most customers, I would say 75% of customers said that they will still call and want to talk to a human when the stakes are high. So,
Yes.
and then they also mentioned that 55% of those leaders believed that having some kind of investment and putting some thought into emotional intelligence, how you are, not only how you're hiring, but how you're training, how you're developing your current talent it's a key element as we prepare for the future. So to me, it made a lot of sense. I think 75% is a very strong number, but it kind of like really reinforced the fact where technology is very important, kind of help us to do things better, faster, help us to, streamline processes, predict needs, and all that good stuff. At the end of the day, I believe that our industry, equipment finance, is still a people industry. And while we can leverage technology to help us evolve and be more efficient, I think at the end of the day, the human element is still what defines what the experience is, right? And that's when emotional intelligence it is what truly elevates that experience. So I think it's really about, as leaders, and kind of going back to the N.I.C.E model, I think it's important that you absolutely embrace your technology journey, whatever you are in that journey. But please do not forget about the human element, because I think that's still key to make sure that you're going to be successful on whatever is it that you're doing.
Absolutely. And it sounds like your framework is used even when you're contemplating what the solution should be for customer experience. And that's so forward thinking to consider enabling emotional intelligence in the solutions that you're bringing. And I just keep thinking back to your story. I mean, even though you're doing customer service, customer experience in different industries and different contexts, the common thread is humans are involved.
Yeah.
And, no matter how great the tech gets, we can't forget that.
Yeah, we still need people, and people want to talk to people, and we
Yeah.
are humans, and we need that interaction, right? So I think that's still very important to keep that at the center of what we do.
Well,
100%.
yeah, we get so caught up in the hype of
Yes,
AI, all the things,
I know,
like
right?
people still matter, relationships still matter, and human connection. I was just talking to somebody today, like, let me talk to a human. They were talking about some customer service experience to pay a bill or something. And I find that myself, I'm always telling these computers, let me talk to a human. Can you share a story where your N.I.C.E framework helped to shift a team's performance or engagement in customer experience?
I love this question, Deb, because it kind of brings me back to kind of think about our journey as we implemented N.I.C.E. So N.I.C.E actually, was born about 2 years ago. And like I said, it kind of evolved into what it is today, more as to leaders to make sure they're making the right decisions, right? So I remember when we first started, one of the managers that I work very closely together, we were having one of our brainstorm sessions, and we were talking about, okay, so how can we use this to help us notice? How can we use this to help us show that we have empathy, or how can we execute better, that kind of stuff. And today is not uncommon to, kind of walk the floor or join one of my team's huddles or meetings where you see them talking to each other and they're bringing the nice into the conversation. So I think it evolved to be really part of our service culture, if you will. And it really makes me smile because, again, like, it was something that just naturally evolved to really be that compass to leaders and to our teams when they are, trying to find solutions for whatever problems we're trying to solve. So that's a really nice thing to think about. But I'll share with you something that happens most recently, where, we do get customers compliments. They send emails about interactions with our teams. And one that resonate with me actually happened not too long ago, last week, as a matter of fact, where a customer took the time to say that she said, I have interactions with customer service from different industry, and I wasn't really expecting much from, reaching out to get whatever needed to be done. And then she spent time to elaborate, to say how she felt heard and how she really felt that, the empathy, the person that helped her was there, and the execution was really flawless. So to me, it was a testament where, the little things that you do. I know, again, I'm going to go back to saying that on paper, NICE was designed to be really simple, because it should be simple, but the outcome should be really powerful. And getting the customer compliment, kind of, just being a testament to that. Yes, not, if you really focus on and you embedded the NICE into your servicing culture, that's one of the outcomes that you're going to get. So that obviously made me very happy.
Oh my
and very
gosh.
proud.
Yeah. That's a big deal, actually.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the way that your team, it's becoming a part of their behavior to have nice conversations. That kind of brings me to my next question, because you really are, through this framework, empowering your team to make great decisions, to behave in ways that generate stories like the one you just shared. So, from your perspective, what does team empowerment look like in action, and how do you consistently cultivate that?
I'll start first with saying that I don't think empowerment is about control. I think empowerment, it's really about, first, it starts with the culture, right? Where you have to build a team culture where, collaboration is there. So collaboration, communication. But one thing that I believe is extremely important, and I'm going to say extremely one more time because it's extremely important, is really building an environment where people feel safe to experiment, to explore, and to be curious. And I say this because only if you build an environment where people feel psychologically safe, right, you get so much more out of it than trying to build an environment where it's not okay to make mistakes or people are afraid to fail, right? I think that we should really shift our mentality to really embrace failure as a learning curve. Obviously, wanted to, experiment, learn from it. If you did great, awesome. But if you missed something, how do you really tweak it? How do you really, make the necessary change and you continue to evolve? So empowering teams, I think it's a combination of all those things: collaboration, communication, building a safe environment for people to really experiment, be curious. And also another thing too that is very important is be very close to the people that are, working close to the problem that you're trying to solve. So because they are the ones that, are doing that every day. And, sometimes the simplest ideas could be the biggest solution that you need, right? So you don't need this expensive, elaborative thing to do. Sometimes it's just really, giving everybody a seat on the table, listening to their feedback, kind of go back to the communication, as I said. I think those, to me, those are really key to make sure that you're empowering team, and it needs to be embedded in your culture, right? Because then it's part of your day-to-day, and that's how you drive every conversation that you have and how you push your business forward.
I want to just kind of double click on this topic a little bit because this is something we talk about a lot too at Tomorrow's Zone: collaboration, communication, and genuine curiosity, because that's the thing that helps your customers feel so heard, but it also empowers your team because they're feeling heard. You said you give them a seat at the table. What are some things that you're doing or modeling for your team that helps them to feel that environment where it is psychologically safe? Because we talk about that a lot, but it might feel like a buzzword, but like practically, how do you take action to create that environment for your team?
I'm going to give a simple example where, like today, we had one of our self service tools working through one of our portals, and I have one of the leaders that is driving that initiative and is really empowering her to make her own decisions and really trusting, her knowledge, her expertise, and kind of like giving that encouragement where, she and I would have very meaningful conversations. And I think at the end of the day, that will be her decision on what she thinks is the best. Because again, I hire, she's part of the team for a reason why I trust her judgment. But it's really like, as a leader, I think most of the time you play a role where you're guiding, you're sharing knowledge, and you are, having meaningful conversations about what are possible outcomes, what are the things that you should think about, how do you put certain guardrails. So I think it's really having that collaborative, those collaborative conversations, and not just sitting there and say, oh, this is what you have to do. I think it's like together we're gonna work through it. And as a leader too, I think it's okay for you to say sometimes you don't know, you just don't know the answer, right? And that
Yes.
you have to collaborate. Don't think because you're a leader you have to know all the answers. I think as a leader you need to know which questions to ask.
Yes.
That's very important. If you know which questions to ask and you're asking those questions to the right people, then I think you're really empowering an environment where everybody has, can feel safe to input, and it's okay, they feel okay and safe to try, right? If you make a mistakes too, it's just about how do we learn from this? How do we evolve? It's not being, oh my gosh, you make a mistake, that's the end of the world, right? I think it's a combination of all those things.
That is really powerful. And I can see why your team is performing so well. I'm going to shift gears just a little bit because I first heard you talk about this at the ELFA Innovation Lab. And I was curious, like, how has your involvement with the ELFA Innovation Committee influenced your thinking on the future of work and customer experience?
Yeah, so I will start saying, Deb, that for me, it was such an amazing experience. It was the first time that I participated in the committee. Even though I knew that was going to be great, it was way better than I expected. And the reason is because obviously you've been in the industry longer than I have, and you know all these amazing people that we are very fortunate, to be part of our industry. And sitting on the same table, as those folks and listening to their conversations, learning from their own experiences, but attending the conference, even like the trend scanning session that you did, I thought that was so great because we are also thinking about what are the things that we should focus on as we design and we work on the future of our industry, right? So I thinking that having the opportunity to participate, to be there and be part of that conversation has been not only helped me to grow as a leader in equipment finance, but even personally, right? Because again, you see so many wonderful people and mentors and role models and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think most importantly, as I think about how does that influence the decisions that I make as, I'm working with my teams, I think it's really one thing that is very clear that I heard from all the different leaders within our industry. It was really about finding balance. So I think it's about working through all the technology enhancements and the journey that we all have been, like I said, to some degree, but also balancing that with the human element. I don't think there is one thoughtful leader that I have this conversation with that left the human element out of the conversation. Because to your point, especially today is very easy to hear people, these buzzwords, and everybody's talking about technology or this or
Mm-hmm.
that. But being part of the ELFA and being part of the committee, and sitting down with these amazing people, it really kind of reinforced that the balance is really focused on those two things, right? I don't think our industry can move forward without one or the other. So you need to make sure that whatever you are doing, you keep those two things, at the center of what you're doing.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you were able to participate in this way. Yeah, I think you brought a lot of value. And I know, like, even in the trend scanning session that Jenica and I led on behalf of Tomorrow Zone, you were one of our ambassadors running around the room with a microphone, interacting with teams.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
Was it? I'm glad. I think that our team was amazing. And we had so much fun in that session. Just getting involved in volunteering gives you such a unique and interesting perspective on the industry. There's so much power in learning in community with your peers. So kudos to you for stepping up to do something different.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you for the opportunity, and it was really a lot of fun. Another thing too that I want to add here, Deb, is what I found very interesting is that being active and collaborating with other leaders from our industry, it's interesting to think about that. At the same time that some of us are competitors, we also very good with collaboration, right? So to me, that's really amazing. And that's the beauty of, connecting with all these people. So you get to have fun, you get to have really great conversations, you get to meet amazing people. And so, yeah, I'm excited about next year. I cannot wait, to be honest with you.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this group comes up with for next year. It's so exciting. And I think we've got some good momentum for practical innovation in this industry. I can't believe how fast the time has gone. We could talk for hours here. But we got to wrap it up. So I wanted to end on one question for you, Lilian. What do you wish someone would have told you when you first started doing this type of work?
Be open to experiment and be curious. And I say this, Deb, because obviously, as most of us, when we are doing our work, we want to do the best work that we possibly can. And we always want to be perfect, right? I think at the same time that, aiming for perfection is a very noble goal, right? It's great, it's phenomenal. At the same time, it could really slow you down, because if you're waiting to do something until it's perfect, it could take a long time to get there. So I think it's really shifting the mentality to really be open to experiment. Just experiment as much as you can. Be curious, right? And really thinking about how much can you try, evolve, make it better. Try, evolve, make it better. So I think that if I was open to that a little bit sooner, probably I would have, it would have probably avoided some of the headaches here and there. So that would be my best advice. Just, be open to experiment. When you think about innovation, you don't have to spend a lot of money or think about, it needs to be this elaborative technology in order to be innovative. No, sometimes it's just the simple ideas can get you so much further. And you only get there if you're really open to experiment and be curious.
Really great advice. Lilian, I just want to thank you for sharing your insights with us today.
Well, thank you, Deb. I really appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to connecting with you soon.
Absolutely. To our listeners, I hope that you found some great takeaways from this conversation. I know I did. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, stay curious and choose to make awesome happen.